Hi, today we'll be talking about sequences and parity and scales. Let's get started. So sequences are an ordered list of numbers. These numbers are called terms. So our first type of sequence is called the addition sequence. So the addition sequence is basically when you add the same amount to the next to get the next term. So for example, the first term is 1 and we add 5 to get 6. To get the next term after 6, again we add 5 to get 11. And to get the next term after 11, again we add 5 to get 16, and so on. There's also another type of sequence called the multiplication sequence. As you can guess, the multiplication sequence is where you multiply by the same amount every time to get the next term. So we start off with the first term of 1, and then we multiply by 5 to get the second term of 5. Then we take 5 and multiply by 5 to get the third term of 25, and we keep doing that. So now let's do an example problem. So we are to find whether this sequence down here is an addition or multiplication sequence. We are also to find the rule, and we are supposed to fill in this gap for the next term. Okay, well let's start off with addition. So we add 3 here, and here we add 6, so it's not an addition sequence. We need to check if it's a multiplication sequence because it might not be addition or multiplication, so let's do that quickly. So here it's times 2, and here it's times 2, so it is a multiplication sequence. So it is a multiplication sequence. And what's the rule? Well, you're multiplying by 2 each time, so we'll just write times 2. And what's the next term? Well, we do 12 times 2, and 12 times 2 is 24, so the next term would be 24. Okay, now let's talk about parity. Parity is basically stating whether a number is even or odd. Just a fancy, nice word. Now let's think about odd numbers, okay? What happens when you add an odd number to an odd number? Well, we know that an odd number is represented by 2n, where n is a whole number, plus 1. So let's say odd number 1 is 2n plus 1, and odd number 2 is 2m plus 1, okay? So if we add these together, we get 2n plus 2m plus 2. Realize I can factor out a 2 using the distributive property. So this is equal to 2n plus m plus 1. Now realize that n plus m plus 1 is a whole number, which we can call p, so we have this is equal to 2p. And realize that 2p is an even number, so the answer here would be even. So an odd number plus an odd number equals an even number. Now let's look at the case when one number is odd and one number is even, and because addition is commutative, it doesn't matter which order they are in. So let's say our odd number is 2n plus 1, and our even number is 2m, okay? So now we're going to add these together, so we just get 2n plus 2m plus 1. Using the distributive property, I can factor out a 2 here, so I get 2n plus m plus 1. So realize that n plus m could equal a whole number, let's say q. So this is really equal to 2q plus 1. But realize this is an odd number, so here we know that odd plus even is equal to odd, and even plus odd is equal to odd. Now what happens when you add an even number in an even number? So let's say that the first even number is 2n, and the second even number is 2m. Adding these together, we can factor out a 2 using the distributive property, so we have 2 times n plus m. Now n plus m, as we said before, could be a whole number q, so this is equal to 2q, which is an even number. So even plus even is equal to even. Okay. Realize that doubling an integer will always result in an even number. So remember when we do an odd number plus itself, so let's say we do odd number, which is 2n plus 1, plus 2n plus 1. This is just odd plus odd, which is equal to even. And we just looked at the previous one that even plus even is equal to even. So this is an important thing to realize. It can help save you time on tests or something. Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk quickly about is the scale. A scale basically measures value. So a good example of a scale is temperature. So we measure temperature using two types of scales, which is Fahrenheit and Celsius, and they're both measured in degrees. Okay, so I hope that helped, and I hope to see you soon.